Well, Halo Infinite's campaign was released this week, a few weeks after the multiplayer mode, which was delivered early as part of Xbox's and Halo's 20th birthday celebrations. Halo's new campaign manages to navigate the legacy of great Halo games while pushing the series forward, introducing an open world. It's got a strong opening third, albeit a little bit stodgy in the middle, but then it builds up to a great finish, and 343 had to make trade-offs with the introduction of the open world, which includes less tailored classic campaign moments, plus co-op isn't there at the start. However, this is balanced out by the sheer amount of freedom that Halo Infinite offers. It is a solid entry to the series, although I wouldn't put it right at the top. Well, in the opening moments, Master Chief is seen fighting against the Banished, and he gets a beatdown and thrown into space. Well, later, he's collected by a UNSC pilot, and is saved and sets upon finding out what's happened while he's been out. Well, the Banished, they're running rampant, and the Chief collects his new AI, called the Weapon, given Cortana is now gone. And we're introduced to the Zeta Halo Ring, which acts as our main play space for Halo Infinite, and this one is a relatively large open world map, where we take back UNSC bases from the hand of the Banished. So we're not immediately dropped into the open world, and 343 most likely wanted to ease us in gently with the first few hours of gameplay. They're set in classic close quarters, tightly scripted gameplay sequences, which really nod back to the classic Halo campaigns. But once we've got a grip on who we're fighting, we pick up our new buddies, and then it's off to the open world of Zeta Halo. One thing you'll notice immediately from Halo Infinite are the new tools that Chief has been given to navigate the sandbox. Primarily, this includes the grapple shot, which by this time you'll have most likely played around with in multiplayer. So this is a fun differential, which allows you to either attack or escape from enemies, and here in the campaign it's much more, so you've got a verticality to the levels, which wouldn't be possible to navigate without the grapple shot, and the opening environments range from damaged spacecraft to classic sci-fi style environments, and navigating these with a grapple shot is very, very satisfying indeed, and also essential. Not only can you climb high, but you can also grab weapons from your enemies too. Another new element that we're introduced early on to are the mini-bosses. So these are Banished with bigger health bars, often shields that offer up a challenge when it comes to combat. And there's still plenty of Halo battles we're going to run in, face off against a series of enemies, pick up their weapons and use whatever it takes to clear out the zones. But these new mini-bosses have smart AI behind them, and they're going to hide from your attacks, advance on you when you're weak, and they're really tough to kill as well. It's a great example of 343 taking the Halo formula and adding in a little something extra and bringing this game up to modern standards. Well, Halo Infinite feels like a mesh of the best of Halo Combat Evolved and also Halo 3. So you got the classic look of Halo Combat Evolved and the great feeling of Halo 3. And 343 have added hygiene factors in there, like the ability to mantle on edges, running, also aim down sights, things that brought with them a massive negative backlash when implemented in Halo 4 and Halo 5. This time it feels like the audience is much more accepting of these features, given they're pretty much standard in many FPS games in 2021. So once you get through the first few hours, which could be seen as the tutorial area in Halo Infinite, then you're dropped onto Zeta Halo, and the open world is yours to explore. There's a sense of Breath of the Wild here with the physics related to the grapple, being able to fling yourself across the map. There's a great clip out there going around at the moment with the player exploding a warthog, then using a grapple to slingshot themselves across the map. There's just one great example of what can be achieved with the physics in the sandbox here. Much like Link could in Breath of the Wild with his abilities, we're going to be finding interesting ways to navigate this map for months to come. Well, the Zeta Halo Ring is full of encounters and bases for Master Chief to take back. So you've got the Banished strongholds and the UNSC forward operating bases, or the FOBs for short. You've got to clear them out and reclaim them. The main issue I found with these missions is that after a short while the gameplay feels a little bit repeated, and it does get a little bit repetitive. I'm used to running strikes again and again in Destiny, although there I've got the loot as a carrot to keep playing. So we've got the upgrades in Halo Infinite, and although these are good and useful, I didn't really find myself motivated to go from one to another and maintain my level of motivation all the way through the campaign. I felt the campaign stagnated a little bit in the middle, even though the start and the end were fantastic. So there are some restrictions on where you can go right at the start, and you do have to unlock the new zones to progress. So this does a couple of things. It helps you not be confused as what to do and where to go immediately, and it also gives you that Halo campaign structure of sorts. So a big drawback of the Zeta Halo ring is there isn't really much differentiation in the terrain. We don't have a snow area or a sand area. It's all pretty much the same from when you got dropped onto Zeta Halo. At the start, you've got green grass, the trees, a blue sky, and that is pretty much it. Well, in terms of the story itself, it's pretty good. I don't really think it lives up to the high bar set in the early Halo games. So with Bungie's Combat Evolved, Halo 2, Halo 3, ODST, and Reach. So Reach is probably the pinnacle of Halo campaigns, even though the multiplayer in that game wasn't the best. Halo Infinite represents a step forward in terms of storytelling from Halo 4 and Halo 5, which is a good achievement for 343. So Halo 4 and Halo 5 went off track a little bit too much, with 343 trying to make Halo their own, and they did make a few missteps, but here they've managed to walk that tightrope of a familiar feeling Halo while imprinting their own personality onto the series. Regarding the gameplay in Halo Infinite, taking back the base is a key and central to the gameplay, and once you capture one of these, then a bunch of new things are going to open up on the map. Plus there's a series of upgrades you can collect to improve Chief's armor and abilities too. So this includes bolstering your shields, and then you can add extra effects to the grapple shot, which includes electrocuting your enemies on the hit, which is very, very useful indeed. So completing the open world objectives gives you Valor points, and you can unlock weapons and vehicles that can be immediately summoned from the fobs. You can also use reclaimed bases to fast travel around the map, which is essential later on, as you're going to be zipping all over the map, and it's going to save you valuable time. Well, Halo Infinite does really well with offering you a sense of freedom in your gameplay, which has been lacking since the Bungie era of Halo games ended. So given the open nature of Zeta Halo, you have much less scripted corridor battles, and they are replaced with skirmishes out there in the wild. But one aspect of Halo Infinite I really enjoyed when compared to something like Destiny 2, so rather than having a single loadout of guns and you just keep using them over and over again, I do like the fact that you can finish up enemies, pick up their weapons and use them against other enemies. This means I don't really get too attached to my shotgun or my battle rifle. I'm having to use the full array of weapons in the game, and this offers a variety in a sense that you've got to use anything and everything to survive. If I had a choice, I probably wouldn't use the carbine, but seeing as my AR ran out of bullets, I guess I'm going to have to use everything. So it was always going to be a tall order for 343 to create a winner with Halo Infinite. The game was delayed by a year, missing the Xbox Series X launch, and although it's shipped in Halo Infinite branded boxes, all the same, it demonstrates how close this decision was. So with hindsight, I think it was a good decision, because here we have a polished, high quality Halo game. It's unfortunate that co-op is missing from the launch lineup, and apparently we're not going to see that until next May at the very, very earliest. But saying that, the campaign is good fun, and it adds a whole load of new features like the open world, new boss battles, loads of weapons, and the story is pretty good and entertaining as well. As mentioned, the game slows down in the middle, but push through that and you've got a satisfying ending waiting for you. So when you put the two parts together with the campaign and the multiplayer, Halo Infinite offers up a great package that speaks to the hardcore Halo fans, as well as inviting a whole new audience through its free-to-play tier. I think 343 have a Halo game that they can be proud of. Well, the game was developed by 343 Studios, it was published by Microsoft Game Studios, it's released on Xbox Series S and X, Xbox One and PC, and it was originally released on the 8th of December 2021. Well, that is it for my review of Halo Infinite's campaign, and as always, thank you so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button down below and subscribe to This Week in Video Games. If you want to join the community, check out the Discord link in the description, or you can follow me on Twitter at TWIVG Podcast. If you enjoyed this video, found it useful, liking and sharing the video would really help me out. Otherwise, check out the other videos on the channel. Thanks again. I'll see you soon.